Yes guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to episode number 15 of the EAFC Rebuild Career Mode here with Sheffield Wednesday. I hope you've all had a fantastic week so far. We start off with some really good news in this episode in terms of Barry Bannan returning from injury. Similar to previous, he won't be back straight away. He will take a couple of games obviously to get back into the team, but obviously it's good news that he is back. But on the flip side of it, Charlie McNeil did come to us to say he was unhappy, he wants to go out on loan or he wants some more game time, so we'll have to manage that one in the future. But we jump into the first episode of the penultimate, the second to last episode of the first season with Sheffield Wednesday. Only 6 games left of the season so far, and hopefully we can keep pushing up that table into the playoff positions, or at least fighting for them. But the push for that is obviously going to start with this game at home to Hull City, and we get off to a cracking start here. 6 minutes in, really good pass in behind the defence from Ikugbo, but unfortunately Kabaki could only hit the post and couldn't put it back in back of the net. And just a couple of minutes later, Hull had a great chance of themselves. João Pedro getting onto that right foot of his, but unfortunately he also hits the woodwork and smashes that ball against the crossbar. But just a couple of minutes later, we did actually get the first goal of the game in front of the home fans for Ikugbo, picking that ball up, bringing it onto his left foot and just slotting it past the goalkeeper into the back of the net to give us a 1-0 lead, which is really going to give us some confidence and really going to help us hopefully climb that table. But unfortunately it was Hull who started coming on to us here. A couple of minutes later, a good shot from João Pedro there, but again fortunately for us, saved by our goalkeeper Pierce Charles, and a decent shot here by the youngster Austin Hayward, who's obviously deputising for Barry Bannan in that central midfield role, but unfortunately just wide of the post and couldn't quite sneak it inside that post there. But 10 minutes before half time, Hull City did get themselves back in the game. João Pedro had a few opportunities in this game. Obviously he hit the crossbar earlier and he makes no mistake with that one. He picks up the ball in the centre of the pitch, drives forward and fires it on past Pierce Charles to give Hull the 1-1 draw at this stage of the game. And just a couple minutes later they get another chance here. Buani with a shot but spoons it over the crossbar. Balumi, sorry, not Buani. Spoons it over the crossbar to keep the scores at 1-1. Going in second half though, straight from kick-off, Nathaniel Chalobah picks the ball up and pings one diagonally over to Jamal Lowe, who manages to hold off the defender there, gets the crossing with his right foot. Ikugbo's there with a decent header, but unfortunately couldn't get it on target and it just flies wide of a post, and the scores stay at 1-1. But definitely something we can look to utilise going forward. But unfortunately Hull managed to take the lead in this one for the first time in the game. João Pedro once again, his second of the game and Hull's second of the game as well, smashes it in the near post past Pierce Charles and puts them in front at the 2-1 lead. But we do make a couple of substitutes and we're hoping they are going to pay off, and straight from kick-off from that goal being scored by João Pedro, we tried the same again. It nearly worked straight from kick-off in the second half. This time it's Dom Iorfa, pings on over to Ollie Scholes, who's just come on in left wing. He picks up the ball, holds off a defender Quill, swings the ball in that left foot of his, and Ikugbo this time manages to keep the header on target, just sneaks inside the near post and puts us at 2-2. So might be a little bit glitched. Obviously the manager's taken a lot of credit there, obviously with Ollie Scholes being involved just coming on, but obviously something we can definitely utilise. But it was back and forth game. Hull get another good chance here, unfortunately for them blocked by the defender, but the ball does fall back in the end to Alzate, but luckily for us his shot does just fly wide of the post to keep the scores level at this stage. And then we get another chance. As I say, it was a real back and forth game this one. Jamal on the right hand side swings another one into Ikugbo with a good header, but unfortunately saved by the Hull goalkeeper down the middle. Really didn't really get any sort of direction on that header, which is why it was a fairly easy save for the goalkeeper. And then Hull once again, Bloomy comes in onto that left foot of his and just puts it in that far post, in that bottom corner, to give Hull City the 3-2 lead. And obviously, as I say, a couple of times it's been a real back and forth game. They start mocking us here with this celebration, which we weren't too happy about, but obviously hopefully it will drive us on a motive for us to try and get an equaliser in the last couple of minutes. And again, kick off once again, falls to Nathaniel Chalobah, pings the ball over once again to Jamal Lowe. He does it, looks like the defender might get there, but Jamal Lowe brings it down in his chest, pings across. Ikugbo doesn't quite get there, but fortunately he gets there before the goalkeeper and just nods that one in to bring the scores back to 3-3 straight from kickoff again. So 2 goals straight from kickoff in this game. So definitely again something we can utilise going forward, and that is Ikugbo's hat-trick. Obviously recently come back from injury over the last couple of episodes, real goal scoring form since he has come back, and a hat-trick for him. The final chance of the game falls to Louis Barry for Hull, gets his shot dragged wide, and the scores do stay at 3-3, which is where the game ends. And obviously really pleased for Ikugbo here, picking up his hat-trick, 6 shots in total, 3 goals for him, and obviously climbing up that goal scoring table as well. But we come off that 3-3 draw and we do travel away to Blackburn. A couple of changes in there. Jenkins, central defence midfielder, Ollie Scholes coming in left back after that assist after coming off a bench in the last game. Blackburn was sitting around about 17th at this stage. We were sitting around about 14th, so fairly even game. And to be fair, a mid-table game, we weren't expecting it to be the most enjoyable game in the world, but we knew that we definitely had a chance against a team that were lower than us in the table. But it was Blackburn who got off to a better start. Ryan Hedges jinking his way through, gets the shot away, but fortunately Pierce Charles comes out, spreads his arms, makes himself big and makes a save. The ball does in the end come back to Ahashi, but again Pierce Charles is there, spreads his arms and keeps the ball out the back of the net to keep the scores at 0-0 early on. But about 10 minutes into the game, the ball falls to Ingleson, weaker right foot shot, arrows it into that bottom corner. To be fair, I don't really know he had that in him on his weaker right foot, but arrows it into that bottom corner, past the Blackburn goalkeeper, and gives us an early 1-0 lead, which is obviously a really good sign, something we can definitely build on. But Blackburn weren't going to go lying down. Ryan Hedges, he's obviously given us a few warnings in this game already. He cuts in onto his left foot there, decent shot, fairly down the middle, and an easy save for Pierce Charles in the end. And then it's Ryan Hedges again, picks the ball up here, plays it into Ahashi. Ahashi gets a shot of his left foot, similar to Hedges' shot in the last highlight, but again Pierce Charles makes the save. We do get another chance here. Ikugbo getting a chance after that ball in from Ollie Scholes, but unfortunately couldn't quite put his header on target. But we do manage to get the second of the game. Ingleson with a little flick over the top of the reverse pass, and it's Austin Hayward, the young midfielder, coming in for Barry Bannon. Obviously from our youth academy recently, played some really good football, to be fair, in the middle of the park. We've spoken about his dribbling and his quick feet, and I think that's his first goal for the club if I'm not mistaken, and absolutely smashes it into that top corner past goalkeeper, and everyone, players, fans and everyone's absolutely buzzing for Austin Hayward to get his first goal, and the goal scorer gets a really good run here, a couple of step overs to beat the defender, plays it through to Ingleson, who keeps himself onside, and Ingleson coolly slots that one past goalkeeper for his second of the game. And it's the two goal scorers combining there in Hayward and Ingleson to get our third of the game to make it 3-0 at this stage. And obviously, I mean, we knew we fairly had the game wrapped up at this point in terms of victory. It was just about keeping the clean sheet here, and obviously if we can build on some more goals. Hayward picks ball up, obviously trying to break from that corner, poor touch from the defender. Kadamurti plays it into Kabaki. Kabaki's through on goal here, no one near him. Sanderson trying to catch up to him but can't. Kabaki tries to steer it in, but unfortunately a really poor shot, and the keeper keeps it out, and the scores do stay at 3-0. Kadamaturi, obviously you saw he came on as a substitute for Ikugbo, turns his defender there, really good strength from him. Unfortunately once again though, the Blackburn goalkeeper keeps that one out and keeps them in the game as much as he can do. And then 10 minutes before the end, Tyrese Dolan picks ball up on the right hand side for Blackburn. He plays it across to Corley Woodrow. Corley Woodrow's shot, fortunately for us, hits Liam Palmer and stays out the back of the net, so that clean sheet is intact for Pierce Charles as it stands at the minute. But Blackburn do get another chance here. Corley Woodrow once again gets the shot away, and it does just steer away from Pierce Charles and puts it in the back of the net for Blackburn to give them one goal back, ruin Pierce Charles' clean sheet, and Corley Woodrow 3-1 down, 5 minutes left to go, celebrates like he's just won the game. So it's one of those, but a really good victory overall. And then we go into the final game of the episode, and the big news here: both Barry Bannon and Alex Campbell, the youngster, are both on the bench after their returns from injury. Obviously Barry Bannon's been out for about 4 weeks, and Alex Campbell's been out for about 3 or 4 months, so a massive return from him. And again, we're going to have to manage both of their times in terms of not giving them 90 minutes straight away. Obviously Barry Bannon's a bit older and stamina isn't his strong point, and obviously Alex Campbell, we don't want to sort of rush him back being a youngster, but hopefully they can get some minutes in this game coming up against Oxford United, who were 22nd in the league at the minute, so they were in relegation places. Obviously they were scrapping for points to try and get out of that relegation stage, and they got the first chance from that free kick originally, and unfortunately for them they did put the shot wide. But from the resulting corner, once again we get the break. Hayward showing really good feet there, plays it into Jamal Lowe, who looks for on goal with his pace. He tries to, it's a difficult angle to be fair, so he doesn't know whether to turn in, whether to go in and shoot, whether to play it into the midfield, but unfortunately the Oxford defender got back and stole the ball off him. And then they got another good chance here, falls to Tom Bradshaw, decent shot, but a good save from Pierce Charles to keep the ball out back of the net and keep the scores at 0-0, and for himself keep that clean sheet intact. The corner comes in from the outswinging corner from Cameron Brannigan. He fires it in again. Unfortunately for us, we managed to get the header. They do get another shot away, but unfortunately for them, they couldn't quite get it on target. And then another chance here was a chance for Dembele, turns his defenders, but unfortunately slices his shot wide, and the scores once again stay at 0-0. But Oxford were really pushing, to be fair. You could tell they were in a relegation scrap. You could tell they weren't probably the greatest team in terms of their ball striking, but they were defending really well, and they do manage to make a breakthrough with Tom Bradshaw there. He had the initial shot saved by Pierce Charles, Dembele picked the ball up on the left hand side and Valery slid to try and close the angle so he couldn't get the shot away, but unfortunately sold him a dummy, plays the ball back into the box, and Tom Bradshaw was there just to nod that one in. And then just before half time, once again, Bradshaw picks the ball up, plays it into Dembele. Dembele strides forward, gets that shot away on his left foot, but Pierce-Charles down to his right hand side, pushes it around the post to push it out for a corner and no more. Into the second half, again Oxford with a team that came out stronger. The ball falls its way to Bradshaw once again, but again Pierce-Charles stands strong, keeps the ball out, pushes it out for a corner. Look to play the short corner here. Josh McEachran, he plays it into Brannigan. Brannigan skips past Hayward, plays it into Rodriguez, plays into Bradshaw, who gets the shot blocked, falls back to Bradshaw. Bradshaw gets another shot and puts Oxford 2-0 up, and his second of the game for Tom Bradshaw as well, and he's absolutely buzzing. Lays down in front of the Sheffield Wednesday fans, mocking them at Hillsborough, but Oxford United are 2-0 up. Like I say, they came into this game in 22nd, the sort of highest of the relegation places, and obviously they were looking for points to try and sort of get clear of that relegation stage at this point, to be fair. So they're a team that were going to scrap, and they were 2-0 up, and they were defending really well, to be fair. You saw Ingleson hit the post there, and a decent shot there as well from Hayward, but it was saved by the keeper. Kabaki gets a shot here straight down the goalkeeper's throat, to be fair, in the middle. No power on it really. But then the big moment came for us. Both Barry Bannon and Alex Campbell both coming on as substitutes for their returns from injury, and as I say, Bannon a big one, but Alex Campbell's probably the bigger one due to his time off, and Alex Campbell got stuck straight in here. Look at this, couple of step overs, beats the defender, gets the shot away, unfortunately saved by the Oxford goalkeeper, but you could show real intent from Alex Campbell and how he come back from injury, and the speed, his power, and how he wants to make a difference in this game. But Oxford, although they were defending really well, and obviously their main goal was keeping us out the back of their net, they were still attacking. A couple of decent chances here, another good save there from Pierce-Charles from Dembele's shot, and then another chance here from him as well. Harris picks the ball up after Max Lowe stepped up down the right hand side. Harris gets the shot away, but again, fortunately for us, saved by Pierce-Charles, and Bernard manages to nick it off the attacker's foot to keep the scores at 2-0, which is how it ended. But just looking at the table now, we are unfortunately not able to reach playoffs. 4 games left, 12 points possible, with 14 points off the playoff position, so we aren't going to be able to reach that, but obviously we will still try and climb with the 4 games remaining. But that's going to bring the episode to an end. As always, please like and subscribe, comment any suggestions down below. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.